This workshop was recorded in Boston, Massachusetts on Saturday, the 5th day of October of the year 2019. So now you're in that place where your question will be the perfect question for you to understand what you're reaching for. So now you're there. What?
The ability to not overanalyze and have like 10 movies playing in my head at once. I'm a professional dancer, so it helps me when it comes to creating new dances and creating, movement. But when it comes to, for example, a relationship that it's more of a friendship, but we're intimate and romantic, but the person feels like they need some type of separation so they can focus on business. And then on my end, I'm trying to figure out, I know it's not my fault, and I know they need their space, and so they can create their reality.
We're saying this to you, and we're also saying it to everyone who's listening in. The segment intending that we didn't get out far enough ahead of all the things that you're worrying about relative to all of that. You introduced a whole bunch of difficult things that you're wanting to solve, several things. So let's back up and get out ahead of it again. In this segment, this is you writing. I like knowing that I understand the difference between step 1 and step 3. You do, don't you?
Yes.
I like knowing that step 1 is the question and step 3 is the answer, and that step 2 is what Abraham's going to do right now. And I like knowing that I'm going to be in a step 3 moment here. I like knowing that now Abraham knows what it is I want to talk about, and I'm in a state of expecting to understand. I like the feeling of anticipation that I'm going to understand what comes next, sort of getting out ahead of it. We're trying to accomplish 2 things here. Wanting to answer your question, we're wanting to demonstrate what state of being he has to be in for our answer to make any sense. We have the best answer that you can ever imagine that you can't hear, because your question is so active within you, and your justification for your question is so active within you. So you're like the woman at the airport spewing this hurricane of question, and you can't let the answer through under those conditions. So you got to find some way of knowing that you've spewed it, and knowing that you've asked it, and knowing that the relationship, especially the one that's on your mind, has put so many things that you're asking for in the vortex, and that your inner being and law of attraction has gathered up the cooperative components, and that the path will be easy for you to hear. You just have to get yourself in a place where you expect to be able to hear that. So we want to point out something to you. This prepaving and your alignment was sufficient enough that you received an impulse, you received a block of thought that you expressed to us here that was the perfect jumping off place for the answer of this question. You said, I am a dancer, and you're the creator of the dances. Yes, you're also the dancer of the dances, and you know what it feels like for those things to evolve. So you know that feeling of having a pretty good idea of what you're going to do, and then as you go to do it, it evolves even beyond what you planned into something even better than what you planned. Because in the moment, there are other cooperative components that come in. Your partners, the other partners. Under those conditions, you sometimes hear something in the music that you didn't hear before. You know what it's like. You know, in that very example that you gave, the difference between planning to do something, which is creating the dance, and actually dancing the dance, and you know the difference. You know that sometimes you're in a much more receptive mode when you get under the influence of the music, and more comes through you than you planned. Those dances always turn out way better than you planned. Way better. And don't you also acknowledge, as you're writing this segment, going to the next and the next, don't you love that feeling of it happening in the moment? Don't you love being conscious and aware of when that magical thing happens, where the new idea came and you executed it in that moment? Don't you love that leading edge creation that you are on? And isn't it helpful to know that the same way that it happens in dance, it happens in relationships, it happens in business? That's the process. So as you identify and isolate and calibrate that emotional differences in the way you feel when you are clinically defining the dance, and when you are emotionally dancing the dance, when you are finding the feeling place of it. You know how you sometimes say, let the music move you?
Mm-hmm.
Well, we're asking you to let the energy move you. We're asking you to let the vibration move you. We're asking you to let the rhythm of non-physical move you and inspire you. So now what is it you want to talk to us about? Say it all again, whatever you feel like asking.
I mean, I'm pretty understanding now of using the same way I create my movements in space and time through dance, and just allowing.
And don't you think that was a beautiful thing that happened there? That answer was within you all along?
Yeah.
Was within you all along, and you got yourself into a state of allowing where you allowed the answer. And who did it come through? Us or you?
Me.
Same difference, but yes. You. Yeah. Really good. Really good. This is a good time for a segment of refreshment.